Hello, I am that dude with the beard, and for today's commentary, I'll be watching somebody review the very first episode of Sonic the Hedgehog, the Sad AM show. Now, let me just say it, I don't think the guy is that bad. He could be a good reviewer if he just, kind of learn from his mistakes. With that being said, I do have to admit there are mistakes in this video, and I'm gonna be very, nice actually, which is surprising considering how I get sometimes, but bear with me and let's get this party started. Oh god, that was weird.
I was going to do a movie review, but I didn't really feel like watching a movie for a whole hour and a half or so. Instead, I watched the first episode of Sonic the Hedgehog. I had never seen this before. I didn't even know it existed until about a year ago, because back in 1993, I watched The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Is it just me, or is the kid the only one who scripted? If you're going to make a review, it's a good idea to script or make notes. And I know that most people can do well with thinking off their head, and people who think they can do well. But my point is, scripting is a good idea. Oh, and secondly, it's called shaky cam. I don't think you should hold your camera in your hand while you're reviewing. It doesn't help. It makes people get nauseous, and some people even get annoyed and not watch it.
Weird situation, both of these series came out the same year. They were both produced by Deke, and they both starred Jaleel White as Sonic the Hedgehog. After watching this first episode, I prefer Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. It's a lot sillier, a lot more lighthearted, a lot funnier. Overall, I just enjoy it. Robotnik in The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog is much more entertaining, and his henchmen especially are very funny. Whereas in this show, Robotnik is just menacing and it's just overall darker and more serious.
Alright, I do think this is why our script would work. I think you should try to word things a bit more differently. You tried to say that Adventures was better simply because it was a lot lighter. It didn't, kind of scare kids, and I understand that. I do. But I think you're also missing the point that this show was aimed at a much higher, a little bit of a stretch of a demographic. I mean, let's say this show was made for 8 to 10-year-olds. And I think it would work in this case. It does seem age-oriented for those kids.
A couple of points about this episode. First, Sonic is a jerk. At the beginning, he's there with Antoine and this other cat character. I'll get back to the cat character for my second point. And he asks them if they have any questions. And Antoine starts asking something, and then Sonic interrupts and says, "Cool, well, I gotta get going." And then he leaves. He doesn't even let him ask the question. What a jerk. And then later, they're in some sewers or something, and they're all covered in poo water. Sonic comes zooming back towards Princess Sally and Antoine, and he stops right in front of him, splashing Antoine with the poo water. 2 seconds later, Sonic smacks him upside the head. What a jerk.
Now, this argument regularly comes up whenever talking about this show, or any show for that matter. The fact that Sonic is more of an asshole in this series and also the movie, people don't like that, and I can see why. Because their conception of Sonic is that he's a nice guy. When in the video games, he's kind of a drifter, and if you stop for 3 seconds, he will look at the screen like, what the fuck? And he will kill himself in Sonic CD if you don't move for 3 minutes. I think someone in the game really needs to get his patience checked out. And people don't connect this to being rude. Why?
I don't remember the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog version of Sonic being such a jerk. I just remember him liking chili dogs.
I understand you prefer Adventures, which is perfectly fine. But when comparing two different shows, I think it would be better to, be more accustomed to both shows. Not just watch one show and relate the other one to nostalgia. It's kind of like me saying that the old Ocean dub is better of Dragon Ball Z than the Funimation one, simply because it's more nostalgic.
I just remember him liking chili dogs. Alright, so my second point is the cat character. I don't think we ever learn his name, and towards the beginning, he goes off in a different direction down some air ducts to distract one of the robots, I guess, and we don't ever see him again. I'm pretty sure he died, or was captured and turned into a robot, or something like that. So that's a little bit disturbing that that kind of thing can happen on this series.
Okay, since this is aged at slightly older kids, I could see where it's coming from. But I think by that time they could have the concept of death, or maybe even roboticized. But here's my point with that as well. My counter-argument is a lot of characters die in cartoons, or get hurt. I don't see the correlation of why this is a bad thing about the episode. I think a bigger problem with the first episode was that it kind of had a little bit more inconsistencies right off the bat more than the others. I think that's a good point. But notice no one ever brings that up. No one.
Well, that's about it. They're both on Netflix. There's also Sonic Underground, which also stars Jaleel White.
Well, I'm going to cut off this video here, because the only thing of any significance he says next is that the 3 animated shows from the 90s are available on Netflix. So what are my final thoughts? Dude, this was bad for a couple of reasons. One, the camera was just shaky. It was kind of annoying. It was also kind of getting on my nerves. Not a whole lot of people can sit through this kind of thing. 2, the fact you didn't script out, the ums were a little annoying. I do think that perhaps if you're going to do more reviews, you should start scripting, writing notes down, and you do stare up a lot. I think that might be where you write your points. The thing is, you can show your script on screen. I don't have a problem with that. I've watched a reviewer who constantly uses the script, picks it up and looks at it. It's okay. It might be a little weird for some people, but I find it okay. And for your final point, for my final point, the points just didn't make any sense. I refuted one, and the other one was kind of a personal grievance, actually. It didn't come up with any legitimate flaws. I'll admit the first episode's animation was kind of bad. Some of the dialogue was a little wooden. Some of the voice acting was not so great. And those are legitimate flaws, but you pointed out things that were kind of personal grievances with you. With that being said, guys, I'm hoping this will be my last Sonic-related video. I will see you all later, and have a wonderful night. Thank God it's over. Wait a minute. Ooh, a non-Sonic Sad AM video. Huh. I think I should try this one out.